When Ryan moved back home after college, I didn't think twice about it. I mean, what was there to think about? He was just my stepson. The boy I'd helped raise since he was 12. The boy who used to leave his shoes by the front door and forget to put the cap back on the toothpaste. Now he was 24. Grown, calm, quiet, and different. It started the same way everything does, ordinary. He was just supposed to stay for a few weeks, maybe a month or two, while he figured out his next move. I was happy to have someone around the house again. It had felt too quiet lately, too, still. The first day he came back, I remember standing at the window, watching him pull into the driveway in that beat-up old sedan he'd taken to college. He stepped out, taller than I remembered, wearing a plain gray shirt, backpack slung over one shoulder. He smiled when he saw me. That smile, it was warm, familiar, comforting. I smiled back. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. The first few days were sweet, even fun. Like slipping back into a cozy old sweater. We fell into a rhythm, cooking dinner together, laughing over silly shows. He'd lean against the kitchen counter, sipping juice straight from the bottle, while I stirred something on the stove. Still drinking like a college boy, I'd tease. He'd grin, old habits die hard. It was easy, lighthearted, comfortable, and honestly, I liked having him around. There was one evening we watched some random crime show, something with terrible acting but great background noise. He sat on the floor with his back against the couch. I was on the couch above him, legs curled underneath me. Halfway through the episode, he tossed a comment over his shoulder. "You always made this house feel like home, you know that?" I didn't know what to say. I just smiled and murmured, "That's sweet." But later that night, I thought about those words longer than I should have. Things didn't change all at once. That's not how these things happen. It was subtle at first. Quiet. Unspoken. I started noticing how he looked at me, not in a disrespectful way, not overt, but deeper. Like he was seeing me as a woman, not just his stepmother. I'd walk into the room and catch his eyes shift quickly away. Or sometimes, not shift at all. I remember one afternoon I was folding laundry in my room. He walked by, paused at the door. "You always smell nice," he said, out of nowhere. I laughed, caught off guard. "Excuse me?" He shrugged. "I'm serious." "You do?" I should have laughed it off. I should have told him to stop being silly. But instead, I felt something warm rise up my neck. I didn't know what it was back then. Not exactly. But I couldn't pretend it wasn't there. Then came the rain. It started one evening when we'd both been home all day. The kind of soft, steady rain that makes you want to crawl under a blanket and stay there forever. The power flickered around 9 p.m., then went out completely. "Guess it's just you, me, and candlelight tonight," he said with a smirk. We lit a few candles. I made tea. We sat in the living room, wrapped in shared silence, the kind that isn't awkward, but almost too intimate. The room was dim, shadows dancing on the walls. He sat close, closer than usual. And when he reached for the remote, his hand brushed my knee. I didn't move. Neither did he. For a moment, we both just sat there. He turned his head slowly, looked at me, not with a smirk, not with playfulness, but with something serious, something heavy. I stood up quickly, too quickly, mumbled something about checking my phone battery upstairs. I didn't sleep well that night. After that, I pulled away. I kept myself busy, rearranged the pantry, took walks alone, avoided lingering in the same room with him too long. He noticed. One evening, he stood at the sink while I was drying dishes. His voice was low, almost hesitant. "Did I do something wrong?" he asked. I shook my head. "Of course not. Then why do you act like I'm dangerous to be around?" I froze. Not because of what he said, but because deep down I knew I had started treating him that way. Because I didn't trust myself anymore. The night it finally broke wasn't dramatic. No thunder. No dramatic music playing in the background. Just the two of us in a kitchen with soft lighting and too many unspoken words between us. He stood by the doorway, arms crossed, leaning against the frame. "I've been trying to ignore it," he said, voice low, "but I think about you. More than I should." I felt my stomach drop. "Ryan, I know it's wrong, but I can't lie. I don't see you the same way I used to." My heart was racing, my throat tight. I should have stopped it there. Shut it down. But I couldn't lie either. "I haven't been able to stop thinking either," I whispered. "But we can't do this." He nodded slowly, stepped back, gave me space. Neither of us moved closer. But everything inside me felt like it was breaking apart. The next morning, I packed a bag, told him I needed to visit my sister out of town. It wasn't true. I just needed to breathe. Before I left, I wrote him a note. Not long, just a few words I knew I needed to say. This isn't because I didn't feel something. It's because I did. And that's why I have to go. I didn't say goodbye in person. Couldn't. As I drove away, I kept waiting for guilt to set in. But all I felt was grief. Grief for something that never really happened, but still meant something. 3 days later, I got a message from him. Just 10 words. "You weren't the only one." I felt it too. Every day. I read it twice. Then again. And then I deleted it. Not because it didn't matter, but because it mattered too much. Sometimes, life gives you moments you can't explain. Moments that make you question everything you thought was safe and familiar. And the worst part? They don't always end in fireworks or scandal. Sometimes they end with silence. And a memory you can never shake. I still think about that time. Not with shame. Not with pride either. Just with a kind of tender ache. He was just my stepson. Until he wasn't. Until he became the one person who reminded me I was still capable of feeling something so strong, so real, that I had no choice but to walk away from it. Was I wrong? Or was it just human? You tell me. Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if this story moves something in you, subscribe to Tales of Lust, where every story reminds us how fragile, forbidden, and unforgettable desire can be.